So in this survey, we've got this classic brown stain, typical of water penetrating through a wall where there's rainwater. In this case, however, there's high levels of internal humidity, suggesting that there's at least a component which is condensation. Have a look at the survey. So obviously vapour will come from everything, but including from penetrating damp, but it's very little relative to the vapour that's coming from human generation of vapour. It's probably equivalent to, I don't know, a small t-shirt drying or something, but it's not a huge amount.
Right,
Yet
okay.
your data loggers are really high. So data loggers are measuring humidity and temperature, and from that we can extract what's called the dew point, and the dew point will tell us whether you have good ventilation relative to the outside dew point. And from that we can work out what you need to do: increase or increase ventilation, use dehumidifiers, or think about heating, insulation, those sort of things. But this wall is always going to be an area of vulnerability, because it's clearly you've got metal inside here, because you've got the RSJ supporting the whole of the top of the building. And it's very thin, so you're going to get a lot of heat loss in this one section of wall. Plus, around the sides, this is metal here. Around here, you're going to get a lot of heat loss around here. So you've got a zone at risk of penetrating damp and at risk of condensation. And in fact, going back to this, that could just be rust that we're looking at here, because there would presumably be metal inside this. I don't know whether you've seen any of the drawings, but I can have a look on the outside and it will become a bit clearer on the outside.
It doesn't look good outside.
Well, actually, ironically, you've got so this is a pad, a concrete pad, or a lintel that's going. I don't think it's a lintel. I think it's just I think that almost certainly is because there's metal support within that. This sort of dark area here is actually hygroscopic salts, but you don't have those inside, so don't worry about that. Actually, there's no obvious way in which the water's flowing in, so that tells me it probably isn't penetrating damp. These bricks, a lot of people talk about pointing being an issue, but apart from the fact it's been repointed, this pointing very rarely causes an issue when you've got exposed bricks, just because water will be redistributed between the different layers of bricks.
This had detached itself, which is why I've got the bricks underneath to keep it. So I don't think that was helping.
When was that?
So I put the bricks under a couple of months ago, I think, but before that, I think maybe it I think at some point it had come adrift.
Okay, so that would be penetrating damp that's causing that. So that's about this level. Yeah. So, but then it carries on up there. Yeah. So the hole's injected there and there. So that's a form of damp proofing treatment, but it largely is misunderstood in this country. I'll have a look around elsewhere around the house. This white here is an indication of these are calcium sulfate salts, indication of water pouring on there. But that could easily come from this junction, which may have been split for a long time. So I think that it's not going to help the inside, but personally I think it's more than just that. I think it's largely internal vapour. And the good thing is it's easy to solve. So I'm going to have a look at other elements of the building. This is looking through a thermal imaging camera, where blue is colder than orange, and the heat loss caused by the metal is the primary issue. You get a lot of heat loss, which is very you're getting the moisture.
Highlights it on the thing, doesn't it?
The blue is the.
Yeah.
If I'll go into the. Oh, have you got under? Oh, no, it's the radiator. Nice and warm. You can see the bay. Getting lots of heat loss in the bay.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting some curtains or something.
I think that would be. There's a lot of heat loss in the bay, which is also slightly damp there. Very common for condensation to form at the base of a wall, especially around the bay.
Any knowledge you have will really help me.
So looking outside, we're not seeing any major problems. The windowsill is slightly cracked. And note there are no trickle vents, although these are only marginal benefit. The side wall is losing a lot of heat, but it seems to be have good render on it, so I don't think it's penetrating through there. This is using a damp meter. We look outside. Outside, you know, there is this pad which is supporting the top of a steel structure. There are damp. Well, there's this brown section here, but this actually was dry at the time of the survey. This is probably from a past leak that hasn't been painted up. Use Zinza 1, 2, 3 to hide.
I'll have a look over there as well.
It might have been a leak or it could have been condensation. But anyway, it's dry now, so don't worry about it. It's mainly dry to the front, but there is some dampness in the corner of the bay. This is classic condensation zone. That's the metal. So don't worry about that. That's just can't tell the difference between metal and dampness. It's because it's using radio waves bouncing off density. So it's damp there, but that's the heat loss from the wiring. There, but that will be from the metal causing condensation. And also the front bay. You can see there's a bit of mould. Mould only grows where relative humidity goes above 85% for a long period of time. On the outside. But these areas are vulnerable to condensation because you get more heat loss in the corners and there's no radiator and you've got lots of plants, so you've got vulnerability to condensation through heat loss. Let's have a look at it. Bit of dampness there, you can see mould again. I wonder if that's where the air brick is. I'll have a look on the outside. So there's heat loss in the corner caused by the air flow underneath the property. It's not a bad thing, it's an explanation. Extra heat loss here. Little bit of moisture coming from the roof maybe. Check it during a rainstorm. There's a bit of greenery there, but that may also be because of... So the primary cause of dampness in this property appears to be condensation, especially forming on the metal, the cold metal supporting the corner of the wall outside in the kitchen. So the starting point has to be to reduce internal humidity so that the internal vapour, as measured in degrees centigrade as the dew point, is always below the outside temperature so that you don't have a risk of condensation. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe.